Hello, everybody. Welcome to my weird and wonderful world. And today I'm starting a thread. I feel like I want to start a thread. And what I want to talk about is what is in your collection, okay, that you feel personally is the weirdest albums you have. And I'm ranking mine, okay? I am ranking mine. Now, I want to set a baseline for what I consider where weird starts and where it ends. And okay, so a lot of my stuff, may be considered weird by other people, but I wouldn't count anything from the Gorillas or Metallica or Iron Maiden or Nirvana or so many other bands like that. Like I wouldn't consider Ozzy, AC/DC. Those are not weird bands, okay? They're not. They don't have any weird albums. It's more normal and mainstream, and people recognize it. There's reasons why personal reasons why I consider these 10, okay? Not necessarily just one album. I'm presenting at least two albums per artist, okay? So there's more than 10 albums, but it's my top 10 either artists slash albums, that I consider weird in my collection. Now let's get some stuff out of the way, okay? Now at the time, here's a great baseline to where we start, okay? Where weird starts for me. These are just honorable mentions, okay? These are considerations and honorable mentions. These are not in my top 10 categories here, okay? But people would have argued that when this album came out, it marked the first time where Beatles were starting to get weird. Although people loved it, and it's an awesome album. I can see why people would think would blow people's minds if this was what came before it and what came after it, and a concept album, and people were like, "What? Oh, Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Club Hearts?" I really, and yeah, so that is maybe weird, okay. And those who remember it growing up, we consider that being weird, but to me, it's kind of normal in a way. Yeah, I see the weirdness in it, but it's not going to be, it's an honorable mention, but it's not in my categories. Same with this. Equally the same with this. Psychedelic. It might have been really weird when it first came out, but I love it. Yes, it is a little weird, but it didn't make the cut for weirdness on the weirdness meter for whatever, I have in my 10, which is sitting right over here. So I would not put Pussifer, any of Pussifer, although it is a weird band. Okay, it is weird, and but again, it did not make the cut. Same thing with Tool, like the group itself, Tool. Weird music, okay, and this here it would be considered one of the weirdest ones out of their repertoire with all those little atmospheric breaks and everything, and where it goes, having a whole song just dedicated to to a static noise going around with like something that sounds like lightning and thunder in the background, which is but is basically somebody with a kind of a metal sheet and they're going with it. But it is a weird album, okay. But do I consider that it's not gonna, you know, Tool end this album or any other album is not gonna make the cut? Again, same as Captain Beefheart. If I would have had Trout Mask Replica, I that would have been in the top 10. That would have been in there, absolutely. But this is the only album I have, Safe as Milk, and of course, it's pretty much Safe as Milk. I don't consider it's weird. It's a good weird album, and when I say weird, I do not. I repeat, I do not mean bad in any way, shape, and form. I mean, weird is good. Sometimes I never associate weird with bad. I always associate with weird with interesting, unique, novelty even to a point. So, but this doesn't make the cut for me. and neither does this. But it sort of does. This kind of would have been in the 10th spot, right along, right along with this, which I'm going to present in the number 10 spot right here. Okay, and before I get to that, I want to just say that the weirdness of what is going to be in 10 is just equally as weird as this is, but in a different way. These are weird, quirky, but I love it, and it would have been 10, but this kind of beat it out because it was tied. It was tied. So that Devo, okay, not just that album, but any of the Devo is equally as weird as this band is. And these are the two, maybe the two weirdest albums. No, there's other albums that are pretty much equally as weird, but I had to pick one. So in my collection, again, personally, now you might not consider Sparks that weird, but it's the weirdness that makes me love them. How could you not consider them weird? Look at that mustache. Look at that cover. They're 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 bizarre, awesome individuals. I love them dearly. I think they're the cool. They're the most, two of the most interesting guys in the music industry. Their longevity. I mean, look at them. Look at them. Look at that. Look at that. Mustache on him. That's so that's top. That's number 10. See, I'm adding. I'm showing two albums from them just to give you a clear idea that these are, in some ways, is their most bizarre albums. With this town ain't big enough for the both of us. That's bizarre. Huh. Falling in love with myself again. That's bizarre. A song about not. Thank God it's not Christmas. Uh, Talent is an asset, which is about Albert Einstein. It's weird. It's weird, but in a wonderful, awesome way. Same thing with this. At home, at work, at play, reinforcements, B, C, you know, something for the girl with everything. It's awesome. Okay, that's 10. At number 9 position, it's the only album I own of it, and what makes it weird, and although I do have other albums from other artists that are also in that language, I have to put this at number 9 as the weirdest thing I have in my collection. Again, I want to make a statement here that this example, or this one in particular, may not be weird in and of itself, okay? Especially if you're a German person who has this in their collection, and you would not consider this weird whatsoever, of course, because it's a normal part of your collection. It's in your language and you love it. But in sheer weirdness, and I have Ramstein. But Ramstein would be more. I don't consider Ramstein as weird as this being in my collection because it is a little bit more mainstream and more people would have Ramstein in their collection, like more Anglophone, like North Americans would have Ramstein in their collection way before they would get this in their collection. So yeah. So at number 8, okay, and not necessarily just this one album, okay, but anything from this artist, I'm going to put Steve Vai, and in particular, of course, is Passion and Warfare. It's a really bizarre album, and he is kind of a bizarre artist in a way. I would not even throw anything of Joe Satriani in the weird category. That is a little bit more, more typical and mainstream, even though it's melodically superior in many ways to Steve Vai. What I love about Steve Vai is his ingenuity, his bizarreness, his uniqueness, and he is weird up the wazoo but in all the most wonderful ways. Hence, my channel is all about the weird and wonderful and mostly about music, okay? So this is why this is an important episode video that I'm making, and this is why I'm starting a thread with this. So I want to see again what's personal to you. All the channels that want to make yeah. What's personal to you that you find weird? Whether it's top 10, you may have top 20. You may have 20 weird things in your collection, which would be awesome. But I want to see, I absolutely want to see at least your top 10 weirdest albums that you consider weird. Not doesn't matter if you think other people consider it weird, but it's weird in a wonderful way. Now, okay, this next one at number 7 here, I want to, and this is the only one I'm putting in this category from this artist as being, it was weird. It was weird when it came out. I have a soft spot for it. A lot of people kind of still don't like it and will pan it as one of their worst albums, but I have a soft spot for it. And I think it's still worthy of some attention, in a way, because I really appreciate in many ways what they were trying to do, and I think there's some hidden gems on this that are much better than the whole. You if you can isolate those certain tracks from the whole ambiance of the rest of the album, they start standing out more. And I'm talking about the Elder here from Kiss. Yeah, came out of nowhere. It was so bizarre, so I mean, what makes it weird? Okay, I want to show you what really made it also weird, besides the content of what was, what the music sounded like and what they were trying to do. I don't have a picture of them on here. If you could actually see, yeah, it doesn't have a picture of them. I kind of figured it did. But if you could see what they looked like when they made this, when they, it's weird. It was weird. It was so out of there and bizarre. So yeah, this is in number 7, right? Yeah, that's one. That's 10. There's 8. Yeah, that's 7. So the Elder is in number 7 as being a weird album in my collection, even though it may not be considered weird by many people because it's just a part of their collection. Face it, it's weird. Now I'm going to add all these together in one lump sum, even though they're two different groups and there's a compilation in here. I want to give, yeah, this spot here in number 6 to Insane Clown Posse and the peripheral of what they like. This is the band Twisted, okay, which is all that was when they were also on Psychopathic Records and consider the Juggalo thing. If you know about ICP, which is Insane Clown Posse, their record label called Psychopathic Records, and they had they had Twisted in their category, okay, and I will consider, yeah, 100% anything from Psychopathic Records, okay, is bizarre. It's weird. It's not for everybody, and I don't suggest it for anybody. No, no. Go into this because think of this as a horror movie, okay? You're going in this like if you're going to watch if this was a movie, okay, these were movies, and I'm going to throw this one in here too. I want to talk about this a little bit more in detail. But if you're going to a movie, if you compare them, these are horror movies. These are not. These are rated R horror movies, and you go in it, you know, knowing that you're going to see a horror movie. If you don't like horror movies, don't criticize other people for loving horror movies. Just go on and go into your rom-coms and love stories and sci-fi or whatever, go into this knowing that you're going into a horror movie, okay? Just to give you a so out of the Insane Clown Posse part, I wanted to throw in this little EP of Tunnel of Love, okay, which is all a very sexually charged album. My brother gave me this copy because he ended up getting the cover that has a really explicit cover to it that I would not have been able to show on this channel. Absolutely not. Nowhere will it belong on YouTube. But yeah, and then and this, of course, being Twisted, the only album I have of Twisted, but it's Freak Show, and it's awesome. I really like it, but again, it's weird, and this is probably the weirdest stuff I have of the psychopathic record stuff. It's the second edition of the yeah, it's psychopathic murder mix, yeah, murder mix volume 2. It's a mix mash of different songs, and I love it. It's probably it to me. This is probably my favorite stuff of Insane Clown Posse and all the gang, like Twisted, Blaze, and 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 Boondocks and all of them. Okay, again, it's not for everybody, and I really do not suggest it for everybody. But yeah, that's at number 6. At number 5, okay, equally as bizarre, okay, would be the stuff I have of Deward. Now, again, I love this because of how bizarre. I would I don't know. There's so many to start with, okay, but what really hooked me and made me a fan, and I love all of it in its own weird way. It was I think you freaky. I think you freaky and I like you a lot. I think you freak. Yeah, it's just so bizarre and so weird in wonderful way. That's why this is at number 5, right? Whoop. What? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Yeah, that's at number 5. And so I'm volunteering these two as, and no, all equally as weird as these, but these are the weirdest ones I can probably think of. These were the ones that popped out at me first, so that's what I'm presenting as my number 5 weirdness meter. Okay. Okay. In number 4 position, like self-explanatory. All you gotta do is listen to them and see how that, they're South African. They're South African. Yes. Who's yeah, yeah. I don't want to. I hope I didn't mean that in any defense and any offense to anyone. I was just kind of saying that's part of their slang. I just want to, whoever understands that, I'm not cursing at anybody. It's part of their slang, and I just wanted to give you an example of that. So on number 4 on the weirdness scale, okay, and it goes without saying, this had to come up somewhere. And why number 4? I mean, he has it in his name. We'll go with this one first. Dare to be stupid. Well, so when you're first going through, and again, all of his other albums, I have 14 studio albums, all in all, plus his TV album, which is unopened. I mean, it starts off with Like a Surgeon, Dared to Be Stupid, which is a Devo, like a Devo pastiche, style cover. It's not an actual like a parody of an actual song of Devo, but is in the style of Devo. So that volunteers it right there. I Want a New Doc. How much more weirder can you get? I mean, again, any of his albums, like starting with Eat It, One More Minute, Yoda, George of the Jungle, Slime Creatures from Outer Space. Girls Just Want to Have Lunch. This is the life. Cable TV and Hooked on Polka, and I love this. Again, Weird Al is a certain taste, is a certain genre that not is probably not for everybody. Some people think he's too silly to be legitimate, but I consider him 100% a legitimate artist. He picked a certain style. Each of his albums has a certain structure to them. There are not the structures are not that different from each other. But this would be the top contender as his most weirdest album. right along with this one here of UHF, which didn't do very well because it was part of a soundtrack, okay, and on its own, and a lot of places around the world, they didn't realize it was a part of a soundtrack, okay. They thought it was just one of his regular albums, and it was like it came out of nowhere, and it's like it wasn't well received because it was considered too weird. But I loved it instantly. I think it's great. I so to me, I don't. It's weird, and I do consider it weird. But yeah, I have a love and passion for them. At number three, yeah, is that number three? No, that was number two because wait a minute, did I skip over something? No, no, no. Okay, this was number three. No, 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 no. Sorry, this is number four. This is number three. I was lumping these all together, but they're not lumped together. All right. So this is number three, and although like the band itself is not, I don't consider it weird. It wasn't even really a contender, and I showed it in my contenders anyway. But this album, okay, which is yeah, I'm just gonna show it because self-explanatory. Rockabye Baby lullaby renditions of Tool, and mostly stuff from Lateralis. Hence the cover is a kind of a Lateralis inspired cover, and it has the Grudge, Sober, Opiate Disposition, Schism, Parabola, Sweat, Reflection, Lateralis, and The Patient. And I am due to play this again soon because it's weird. It's weird when you find these lullaby renditions of some of your favorite Tool songs of all time. So yeah. So that's why this is at number three on the weird meter on my collection. And if you watch enough of my channel, okay, these next two and number two and then specifically in number one are the weirdest stuff I have in my collection, hands down. I You may find them just as weird, and they're I consider them the most obscure albums because like CDs in my collection, anything from the artist. And I only picked two examples, okay, because they're weird. They're weird. No, I have to pick another example. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm just going to show you the whole collection of this because what's in number one, because it is the weirdest stuff I have in my collection, and I don't know if you would agree with me. Oh, there's a little peek of my Studia Humanitatis studio, which just stands for the studio for the yeah, it's the studio for the study of humanity. Just for those who may not know that. There we go. We fixed that. You see, though, I have also some insane clown posse stuff on the wall here. I got the two masks that I made. They were just white blank masks, but there's the other one. See, and I got the hatchet man right here. It says Insane Clown Posse, and then there's Violent J and Shaggy Two Dope. And then of course to keep the clown theme, and of course across from me here there's Pennywise. But that's just a side note. Just want to just kind of show you that quickly. That I do mildly consider myself a juggalo, and for the longest time I thought the Insane Clown Posse was my brother's favorite band, but apparently not. All right, I know this is going to be a longer video because again, repeat, this is a thread I want to start. And so at number two, okay, would be the Dick Hyman Mary Mayo Moongas slash Electric Eclectics of Dick Hyman slash another little album. Yeah, it has three albums in one. So the last two is from an LP called "The Age of Electronicus," and yeah. So I don't know how well you're gonna see that. It might be a little blurry, but those are the three albums right there. There's the first album of the Moon Gas, with Mary Mayo, and then there's these songs here up here are the Electric Eclectics of Dick Hyman, and this on the bottom here would be yeah that's the Age of Electronicus. There's only two songs on that. Yeah, give it up, turn it. Yeah, It, so it was Give It Up or Turn It Loose, and then Columbo, the last two songs in there. But yeah, I will put this as the second weirdest thing I have on my in my collection. Let's move on. Let's finish this. So with number one of the weirdest thing I have in my collection, and it's always been the weirdest thing that I've always known and had in the back of my mind. It was in my family for the longest time, and then once I discovered the rest of his work, eventually, yeah, is again it's the most obscurest, the most bizarrest stuff that I know, and I keep bringing it up every once in a while. But it's true. It is the weirdest stuff I have in my collection, and I'm talking about everything that I have about with Bruce Hack. Bruce Hack, the Electric Lucifer. It started with this when it was only this. I have some extra tracks here and bonus interview stuff and all that. It's pretty cool. It is pretty good stuff. Yeah, there's an alternative version of Electric to My Turn, but this was so weird growing up with and having in my family. I've always considered this weird. I've always loved it secretly, or like yeah, but but there's I mean he also did like Electric Lucifer Book 2, which I have. And there's Hush Little Robot, which has stuff from the Electric Lucifer on it. Plus, it has other stuff, a mix of stuff from his older works and his newer works. So it's a compilation album in some ways. This is weird too. This is maybe even more weirder than this, okay? But what makes him so weird in many respects, not simply for these albums, okay, but as an artist in general, the weirdest, that before he made this was a special project when his friends were nudging him and saying, go and make an album. Just go make an album for yourself that's not a part of this other thing that I'm about to show you. Because before he made this album, okay, which is so experimental and so bizarre and weird in the most wonderful way, he made children's album with Miss Nelson and Bruce Hack. This is called Dance, Sing, and Listen. And it's basically a weird kind of instruction video where he uses music and he talks to and he has a bunch of children in the studio and they're all answering his questions and doing it's basically like a play along, sing along. And again, this is really bizarre that he was doing children's music. He does this and book two, which is really weird and avant-garde kind of music. Always like as much electronica as you can jam into it. Although there is real drums and bass when necessary. Okay, that coming off of this, okay, and this is one of his last albums, and it was impossible to get. I have actually put the hype sticker. I put the hype sticker right on the case to it. This is one of the few other albums that I actually do have the hype sticker on it. It was a lost classic outsider electronica first ever release, and it's 5 stars out of 5 stars from Omni. and and this is most adult. Okay, this is most adult content. There is a song called, and I'm just going to give you the little acronym for it, BJ, and yeah. So so I'm just going to read the back of it. Bruce Hack's Hackula is the record you dreamt of and the stuff of nightmares. Deemed to be too dark and too offensive for release when it was recorded in 1978, it has languished unheard in the vault ever since. With its premiere release here, it will soon be revered as a lost classic of outsider electronica. Hax's anger with a society he sees as too straight and too claustrophobic is palpable in his hisses and cusses his way over claustrophobic in hisses and cusses his way over astonishingly elastic electro backings. Already respected as one of the pioneers of 20th century electronic music, Hack strikes out on this disc into dark yet playful territory where few have gone before. Imagine a very, very bummed out Kraftwerk scrawling as they play childlike melodies and sing under their breath of fear and abandonment. One listen to Hackula's BJ is sure to change the way you view electronic music forever. As well as the full Hackula album for the first time, this release also features Hack's extraordinary 1982 collaboration with Russell Simmons, who, with Def Jam, Public Enemy, Beastie Boys, Party Machine, and the incredible 32-minute soundscape composition Icarus. All tracks made their first official release here and are lovingly remastered from their original tapes. Often bootlegged, the dark jewel that is Hackula now officially sees the light of day in this deluxe premiere edition. Strap in and let Hackula sink his teeth into you. Hackula. Yeah, 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 yeah. Extraordinary, extraordinary stuff. And so, if you don't know the weird and bizarre and awesome world of Bruce Hack, yeah. So yes, this is a longer video. I didn't really mean to make such a long video, but I needed to get this out. What again? This is a thread. I want you to make a video if you can. What is the top 10 or so weirdest album for you in your collection? Why is it weird and wonderful? Why do you love it so much? And why do I love these so much? Because of the weirdness and because of everything I explained. So, I am going to let you go now. Again, I'm just going to a friendly reminder that if you want to consider subscribing to my channel, I would be greatly appreciative. I will be grateful. And I love you all out there. You all know that, every one of you. So everybody, please be safe. Take care. I will see you on the flip side. And please, everybody, have a great day, evening, morning, night, afternoon, wherever you may be. Peace, everybody.